Amit. Welcome to the podcast. Hope you're doing well. Uh, Say hello to all our listeners.
Hey, thanks, Sri. Thanks for inviting me over.
Hi. So we have a NFL draft coming up in 4 days. Let's quickly go through your thoughts on what the Patriots' needs and wants are.
Sure. So, big time diehard Patriots fan. I've got actually a few thoughts. So, one thought which might not be a very popular thought is that we've got 11 picks, and I know like 5 of them are like late round picks. But I can see enough holes on this roster where I don't mind actually if they make all those 11 picks. Now, if they can trade up and get some great players, that's great too. But I think there's a lot of depth from what I'm hearing on this draft, especially at a few positions like cornerback, tight ends, and all that, where you can get some really solid people in the 4th, 5th round as well. So I'm like, we can definitely have holes on our roster, existing players that can be pushed out, that can be challenged. So I won't be opposed to them drafting like all 11 players.
True. And let's start. Let's quickly go through the what the Patriots season was last year. Obviously, they did not make the playoffs. They really did not have a good offensive scheme going. They have a new offensive coordinator in Billy O'Brien. Mayo has now got the keys to the kingdom for the defense, although I still heard that Steve Belichick is going to be calling. So let's quickly go through both sides. Let's start with the offensive area and see what the needs would be for the Patriots. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and like before going into like specific things, right? I think sort of a very good in NFL right now is like, how do you build a great team, right? So either you have to luck out on getting quarterbacks like Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow and the likes, right? In which case, just like we did for all these years with Brady, get away with maybe not the best talent around, right? Maybe, have an okay offensive line, not a great offensive line, have okay receivers, not have great receivers, right? Or the alternative is, if you don't have that guy, and clearly, at least as of now, Mac Jones falls into that territory, then it's pretty much you have to build a really solid team. You need like significant talent, right? So I think the year is going to be very interesting. I think we're going to know. I mean, I don't expect Mac to ever be like in the Mahomes, that kind of conversation. But
True.
can he be like, the next level down, right? Like, I think this is a make or break season. So I think that's the main thing. I think after this season, we'll know whether we need to keep drafting, look for someone, trade for Lamar maybe next off season, all those things. Or, hey, we've got something in Mac and we already get some good people this year, and then get like some number one, like really, those 1 or 2 missing pieces next year, right? So I think that's kind of the overall context. Now, this whole season could completely bomb as well if the whole Mac experiment doesn't work out and if there's tensions lingering from last season, right? So there's that. I think I'm concerned about the offensive line for sure. I think we need reinforcements there. I think we've got okay talented receiver and tight ends. It's okay.
And that was the one
great.
thing I saw.
Yeah.
That's exactly one thing I saw when I was looking at the NFL.com. The 3 positions that they really called out. One was cornerback, which we know. The other one was offensive line. Despite picking Cole Strange in the first round last year, maybe he will improve, and that's one. And then the other one is a wide receiver. Despite having a lot of wide receivers, I still feel they would need to shore up that particular position.
Right. And actually, one sneaky bad for last year actually was that we couldn't run the ball. So the year before that, even in the Cam Newton year, we could actually run the ball. But 2022, like a lot of things went wrong. And one of them was we couldn't run the ball. And I never want to be this run only or run first team. I still want us to have a really good passing attack, because that's how you win in today's NFL. But you need the run game to be enough of a threat so that the play actions work better, so that like you create some hesitation, some unpredictability about the offense. And I think Ramondre got like all those yards on his own, like, so that's why I feel like, so I don't know if it was like the offensive play calling. I hope it was, and it's not the talent that was a problem. But if it's the talent, I do think we need reinforcements. And
Yeah, especially in the wide receiver end too. I mean, even though they picked up Juju Smith-Schuster,
right,
I and they did let a younger Jacoby Myers walk. Uh, I feel that that is one area where there'll be little concern, and especially for a quarterback like Mac, who is trying to build his confidence with the passing attack, especially in the Billy O'Brien offense. It
right.
remains to be seen how he is going to use the wide receivers that he currently has and anyone that they draft.
I agree. I agree. And I think the general consensus, I mean, nobody knows these things, right? Right now, all people can do is predict, but the general consensus seems to be that, Juju was sort of a swap for a one-on-one swap for Jacoby, so it's not like we've significantly upgraded anything. I think getting Mike Gesicki over I think getting anyone over John Smith is going to be an upgrade. So I would call that as the
True.
only upgrade on offense this year. But I'll go back to the offensive line. I mean, I didn't watch all the plays. I don't watch NFL films like as a professional or anything like that. Definitely an amateur, but you could see many instances last year where, just full on blitz, offensive line can't handle, and Mac just doesn't have a choice. And obviously, I'm not defending him. I think he had a terrible year too, but that also played a part. And I think if you don't fix the offensive line and if you get your receivers, what's the point, right? If your quarterback can't get the ball to all these stud receivers, even if you end up having stud receivers, I do think we have to fix the offensive line. And I'm actually hoping the players that we have are actually okay, and it was more of just the mess that they had on the play calling and everything, and the whole friction
Yeah.
and everything, right?
And I agree with you about Mike Gesicki. They already have Hunter Henry. Uh, I feel that their offense would improve from last year. And they really struggled to score points
There's only
last
one
year.
way to go. There's only one
There's
way to go. Go up.
one way to go, which is up. And then to your point about the running game, needs to get a little more consistent. Stevens was definitely, uh, I would think I would call him the MVP um, uh, for the
Yeah,
offensive Patriots last
absolutely.
year.
Oh,
He
he's a
was,
total stud. Yeah, yeah.
yes, and this year, let's see if Mac. And there's been stories about Billy O'Brien did say last week in the interview that everyone starts in a clean slate. He didn't name any players, which is a good thing, uh, and I feel that they are primed for a better performance than last year. It remains to be seen if that would translate to wins, that would translate to points. And does it also translate to Mac's ability to improve from the last 2 years? So let's see if that's something they could do. Now, how about the let's quickly focus on. We talked a little bit about the offensive line. We talked a little bit about the wide receiver. Let's quickly. We did talk about the running back situation, which is
Uh-huh.
Ramondre. Uh, where do you think that the Patriots can do a better job in shoring up that part of
Yep.
the position?
Yep. I think a lot depends on what they think of the couple of guys, especially Pierre Strong. We draft him in the fourth round. I think Kevin Harris is a sixth rounder, and I generally look at sixth rounders as a long shots. I mean, you need sort of a miracle for them to work, right? So I'm looking more at Pierre Strong. So it depends on how I think there were rumblings that he was not ready for it. But generally, Patriots do that. Like, kind of more of their pass catching backs, they have the first year as almost a redshirt year. They did that with Shane Vereen. They did that with James White.
Mhm.
Because I think you got to pick up all the nuances of pass protection and all of that, right? There's a lot going on. I think for a pure runner, sometimes it's a little bit easier, I think, to come from college and contribute in NFL right away. So I'm hoping they've groomed him enough that, I mean, that guy has speed. So hopefully he can be a passing down option also, because I think, I mean, Ramondre did a great job. He actually had like a sneaky good year. If you look at, like, I was blown away by I forgot how many catches, but he had like so many catches and yards. I was like, no way. Like, in addition to the rushing yards, Ramondre.
Mhm.
So the guy can't do it alone. He needs help, especially in the passing. He needs help on both fronts. He needs to be spelled on just the pure running part, but also on the passing back, right? So I do think there is absolutely a space for one more good running back on the roster, because right now you've got Ramondre and then like kind of nothing, right? I mean,
Right.
unproven at least. I mean, the guy they got from Jacksonville, I mean, he's been injured, so they're taking a flyer. I mean, I won't have huge expectations. Montgomery, A veteran guy, older guy. I won't have too many expectations. So
And he got hurt last year, so
he
I
got
think
hurt
maybe
too. Right.
he got hurt too. Yes, true.
Yeah. So I
So
mean, someone like Jameer Gibbs. Um, I mean, Bill O'Brien coached him at Alabama. He was like not only the leading rusher on the team last year, but also the leading receiver on the team, because Alabama had actually lost a lot of the offensive talent to the NFL, right? And last year was actually not a
mhm.
great team or a year for them. So I think someone like that. I think there's been sort of Bijan Robinson or some like really top-notch back being linked to them. I'm not so sure if I want them to take a running back in the first round, but I won't be shocked at all if they go for one in the second or third round. And that's where they've generally done these guys, right? I mean,
Right.
Devondre was actually a fourth rounder. Okay, so second, third, fourth.
And
He was a second
James White
rounder.
too.
Shane Vereen was a third rounder. James
James
White, I think,
White,
was a fourth rounder, right? So
fourth rounder. Yeah.
right, I think Damian Harris was a third rounder. So that's where maybe second rounder is too rich unless they really like a guy. But like third, fourth round, getting a good back, ideally someone who can do it all, not just like, a one trick pony, not just a pure rusher or not just a scat back. I think that I do think they need help there. And
Right.
one thing I've
Right.
always observed in Patriots past training camps, every offseason we go in thinking, why do we have 6 or 7 running backs? And then invariably, as the season begins, we're like, oh, we're glad we started the season with 6 or 7 running backs,
And
right?
usually it
Because
comes down to two by the last
injuries,
game.
yeah, it's a
Injuries.
very
Yes, true.
vulnerable position. Right? So every year,
NFL, and then
you need more
as they
bodies.
say, right, and as they say, the running back life in the NFL is 3 to 4 years, which is true. I
Yep.
mean, so this is great. I mean, so what we can do is that this ends the very high level, the offensive um, update. Maybe we can do a defensive one in the next one. So
Great.
thank you again for jumping in, and we'll see you soon for the defensive update. All right. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sri.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.